F1 on ITV, sponsored by Shell V-Power.
The Japanese Grand Prix has produced another dramatic twist to the World Championship battle. Fernando Alonso, from seeing it all slip away in Shanghai, has now got it back firmly in his grasp after Schumacher's engine failure in the Ferrari, his first in 5 years. It's victory for Alonso, his first since Canada, way back in June. Alonso from Massa and Fisichella. Jenson Button takes fourth for the second Grand Prix in succession. Kimi Raikkonen finishes fifth from 11th on the grid. Jarno Trulli and Ralf Schumacher in the two Toyotas that fill the second row of that grid. Sixth and seventh, Nick Heidfeld completes the point scorers. And the championship table shows that Fernando Alonso, looking almost down and out a few hours ago, now just needs a points finish in Brazil in 2 weeks' time to successfully defend his world title. He leads Michael Schumacher by 10. And in the Constructors' Championship, it's now a 9-point lead for Renault over Ferrari after they took first and third in that extraordinary Japanese Grand Prix. Victory then for Alonso, and Mark Blundell, if it was luck, it was luck that was very much deserved for Fernando Alonso today. Yeah, you have to take your hat off to Alonso and the Renault team. They just did not give up one little piece. I can't actually get over the fact that they've lost an engine, Ferrari. I mean, as I say, 5 years ago, Indianapolis 2001, that was the last time they had reliability problems. And today, let's go. And I can't imagine what Schumacher's feeling like. And that was the last sort of unknown that we expected to intrude on today's drama, wasn't it? We didn't have any consideration about that, really. We've always said that they've been bulletproof, and up until this point they have been. And, you know, what a blow for Ferrari and what a blow for Schumacher. They now know they're going to the last race. It's going to be tough. I wonder what the reaction is from Ferrari. We can hear from Ross Brawn right now with Ted.
Well, Ross, at times like this, I'm not quite sure what to say apart from commiserations. Do you know the exact cause of the engine failure at the moment?
No, we don't. No.
Do you know that it's actually an engine failure?
It looks like it from the data, yeah. But we'll have to wait and see. But obviously very disappointed. It was a much tougher race than perhaps we expected. But Michael still, I think, had the situation under control. Felipe, we had to anticipate his pit stop because of a puncture, so his race got compromised. So things didn't quite work out today.
It seems sort of unjust in a way. Michael had the fastest car, has had the fastest car for some years, for some few races, and looks like he's not going to win the championship now.
Well, I guess we're in this position for all sorts of reasons, and we didn't have a great start to the season. Fernando had an engine failure in Monza, so you know it is up and down. But can still be done in Brazil. It's a long shot, but it can still be done.
So you're not giving up?
No.
Now, we can't really analyse why the engine blew or speculate for the reasons behind it, but it was right after a pit stop, and he was being pressured by Alonso. Yeah, there was some pressure there, but I think he did have it in hand. I think, obviously, the track temperature caused the Bridgestone not to be quite as efficient as what we saw yesterday. But this does happen now and again, Steve. You do get when a car comes in very hot, it's been at full throttle and full load for a period of time, sits in the pits, then they let the thing go again at full revs, and you get halfway around the lap and it pops, and this is exactly what's gone on there with Schumacher. But, you know, until they get the car back, they cannot analyse what's happened. They've got the data there. Ross Brawn said they see it on the data there's an engine problem, but they've got to strip the thing down and understand it. But, you know, what does Michael Schumacher feel like at this point? It's got to be tough for him to understand, you know, an engine letting go and failing him. They've done everything up until this point. There's nothing he could do other than sit there and get on with it. OK, we'll have more in a moment, but let's hear the reaction from the top three drivers in the press conference.
Fernando, great scenes on the podium there and on your slowdown lap. But before we get on to that, let's just look back to the start of the race, how your car was performing yesterday relative to that first phase of the race when you got past one of the Toyotas and looked to be in pretty good shape.
Yeah, at the beginning of the race, I knew that we were not in good shape, but we were wrong. Actually, we were competitive, I think as good as Ferrari pace maybe, and a little bit better than Toyota. Anyway, I took the risk in 10-2, overtaking Jarno, because I thought that was only one opportunity. And then when I saw Ralph's with some problems in the car, especially on traction, I tried to overtake him as well. It works fine. So, you know, at that point I was quite happy with third place. And it was difficult to imagine the performance of the car after the first pit stop. Really constant, really well balanced, and you know, just after Michael's problem, the race becomes quite good for us.
You had a moment at the exit of Degner when you were behind Ralph. Talk a little bit about that. And then also that second stint, when the gap was 5.8, 5.9 seconds. What was your mindset at that point?
Yeah, the moment I had going out of the track a little bit behind Ralph, I was too close to him. Tried to really be close for the long straights, and I went off and I lost nearly 2 seconds. But then I recovered quite quickly, so I realized that we were much quicker than Toyota, so we need to overtake them. And then, yeah, in the second stint with Michael, more or less the gap was the same, 5.8, 5.9, 6 seconds, depending on the traffic. And I was thinking that it was possible to win the race. Why not? We were only half through the race, and we were 5 seconds behind the Ferrari. Completely a surprise for us. So from that point only, we need to try.
And then a fist punch from you from inside the cockpit as you took the lead, and Michael, of course, peeled off the track.
Yeah, for sure. You know, I had so many problems in the last couple of races. I lost one tire in Hungary. I lost one engine in Monza, and you know, sometimes I need to recover these unlucky moments. And for sure, when I saw the problem of Michael, I was in that point leading the race, and I just didn't believe what I was seeing, because also to see a mechanical problem from Ferrari car is not often that you see this problem. So it was second surprise, the biggest surprise of the race for sure.
And congratulations to you. Felipe, well done, P2 for you. You did come in relatively early in terms of your first pit stop, and then it seems as if you lost a lot of time behind Nick Heidfeld.
Yeah, I just had a puncture in the tire, so I need to anticipate the first stop. I supposed to stop in lap 16, and I anticipate quite a bit. I don't know which lap I stopped, maybe 13 or whatever. And that's the problem, because I just came out of the pits behind Heidfeld, and he was pretty slow, and I lost the opportunity to be in front of Fernando. And for sure also, looking what's happened with Michael, I could have won the race, but everything happened in the first stint because of this puncture. But anyway, sometimes happens in the race, and I feel sorry for the team with this engine problem, but let's try to do our best for Brazil.
And regaining, of course, third place in the World Championship as we go into Brazil. What was your car like in the second stint when you were lying third behind Michael and Fernando?
It was not so bad. I was struggling a little bit with graining, and also with the wind condition. Sometimes was inconsistent, and had some strange oversteer. Sometimes it was not so easy to drive, but. Well, I think everything happened in the first stint, because Renault improved a lot the pace, but I think we were supposed to be able to be in the front. Unfortunately, it was not happening. But anyway, let's try hard in the next race.
Thank you very much. Giancarlo, congratulations to you too. Looked as if you lost a lot of time early on behind the Toyotas.
Yeah, I had not a fantastic start. I lost position against Button. Then after a few laps, I overtook him, and I was catching the Toyota's guys. After that, the car balance wasn't too bad. I did a good race. I overtook them in the pit stop, so the strategy was good. The tires behavior was good too. So today is a fantastic result for Fernando, for myself, for the team. But mentally, psychologically, today wasn't an easy race for me, because on Thursday I lost my best friend ever, and I am really sad. It's not easy. So the race was important, but now it's the life like a friend of him. So I like to dedicate that third place to him, and just ciao Tonino.
Well, sympathies.
Very emotional Giancarlo Fisichella in that press conference, and an emotional Fernando Alonso at the end of the race. It was the kind of celebration that we haven't seen in a few months, and we realise how much we've missed it. It's full of symbolism, I assume, but the message is we're all mates again at Renault, and we're heading for the championship, I suppose.
It's always interesting to see what Alonso does when he comes out of the car, because he's got so many different moves, and it's a big difference to what you see when the other drivers come out. And none more so than Michael Schumacher at this point, because there's a guy there who's feeling pretty dejected. And, the good thing is he's gone back and, as Martin Brundle said, you win with the team and you lose with the team, and that clearly is an indication of that.
But is that a handshake that's sort of saying it's all over?
Well, the way you look at that there, Steve, yeah, it looks very much like Schumacher all of a sudden has had some realisation, and maybe it's a little bit too far ahead and maybe not achievable in Brazil, but you just never know. We didn't know what was going to happen today,
not.
and look, 2 hours difference, and we've got a different leader in the World Championship.
Yeah, Fernando Alonso wins the Japanese Grand Prix. He's back in charge of the World Championship. We'll have more reaction in just a couple of minutes' time.
F1 on ITV, sponsored by Shell V-Power. F1 on ITV, sponsored by Shell V-Power.
Fernando Alonso wins the Japanese Grand Prix from Felipe Massa and Giancarlo Fisichella. Michael Schumacher retires with a blown engine. The championship battle, as far as he's concerned, looks to be all over, but who knows? In 4th place in Japan, finishing 4th for the 2nd Grand Prix in succession, Britain's Jenson Button, and he's with Louise right now.
Well done, Jenson. That was a good solid result, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. I mean, the special thing is that we got started a little bit better. I overtook a Renault off the line. Never happened. So yeah, the race was good. The tyres came in good after a few laps. Then we're able to get past both of the Toyotas, which is nice for the team, and to pick up another 4th place. Best of the rest really, as it is at the moment. The Ferraris and the Renaults are that step ahead.
Michelin seemed a much better tyre to be on today.
Well, it's difficult. The Toyotas are still reasonably good, and the Ferraris are still good. So it's a difficult one. I think they sort of evened up in the race, and the Bridgestones didn't have their advantage that they had in qualifying.
Was the result better than you expected, or about what you were looking for?
I thought we'd have a good race with the Toyotas. We actually beat them by quite a bit, but Kimi was strong at the end, and we had to push very, very hard to keep him behind. But it was a good race and a solid, very solid race from the team. They did a great job on the pit stops, and as it's been from Hockenheim, we've been right up there every race. We just haven't quite got enough to beat the first 2, but we will get there. Trust me.
Well done.
Thanks.
Yes, the Michelins struggled in qualifying and then were decent in the race. How much are you going to miss them? How much are you going to miss the tyre battle next season?
I think we're going to miss it quite a lot, Steve, because it brings in such a big variable, and it's definitely played a big part in the World Championship up to this point. But it is difficult to understand where you got that big difference with Bridgestone yesterday, and now the Michelin seem to be quite even to it in the race. So, yeah, I think there's some head-scratching going on for sure.
It was an all-Toyota second row today, and then Jarno Trulli and Ralf Schumacher finished 6th and 7th in the race, and we can hear from Jarno right now.
Cars home in the points, was that a satisfactory result?
Yeah, it was quite good, even if I must say that we expected to have a better weekend. Nonetheless, we got the best out of it. The strategy was pretty good, but we have had several problems, or I've had several problems, first with the traffic at the beginning of the race, where I lost one position. Then to recover, I changed a little bit the strategy, but in the end, I was struggling quite a lot with the last set of tyres.
You were so strong as a team yesterday. Where do you feel you've lost out relatively today?
I think we need to analyze the data, but probably the condition has changed, and also the tyres performance has changed from yesterday to today. Today was a bit cooler, and probably it has changed a little bit the pace.
A few personal battles involved. You qualified behind Ralph, but you've got past him. Pleased about that?
Well, one position in front of our head, it doesn't matter. It's important that we score points with both cars, and we gained many points for the Constructor Championship, and then we sit for the last race.
Well, in closing, let's throw it ahead to Brazil in 2 weeks' time. Michael Schumacher needs a race victory. He needs Alonso to finish outside the points. How will Schumacher be approaching his final Grand Prix, do you think?
He'll want to go out on a high with a win. That's the only way that he has to look at that race, and he's going to have an outside chance now, still pulling off the World Championship. But I know for sure I wouldn't want to put any money on it, and if something happens like we've seen today, who knows?
It's been an amazing few weeks, because exactly that kind of reverse happened in Monza with Alonso blowing up, Schumacher winning. That will give the title to Schumacher in Brazil.
It's been an incredible season so far, Steve, because you just go back to Canada and Alonso was 25 points ahead in the Drivers' Championship. Schumacher, Ferrari chipped away. All of a sudden we came into this one and Schumacher had the upper hand. Now we go into the last race and it looks like it's Alonso's championship to have. So, I'm amazed by it, but it's great. It's fantastic stuff.
Incredible championship. Thank you very much to you, Mark, as well. And a lot more reaction will come in our rerun of the Japanese Grand Prix a little later today at 3:30 this afternoon. And we'll have highlights again later this evening. That's at 11:15. And more motorsport this week includes the Goodwood Revival meeting. That's at 11 o'clock on Tuesday evening. And the final round of the British Touring Car Championship comes from Silverstone next Sunday at 4 o'clock. And then in 2 weeks' time, our plans for the Brazilian Grand Prix. Qualifying story at 11:55 on Saturday evening. Live race coverage at the far more civilised time of 5 o'clock Sunday evening with highlights later. We're all getting ready to crown Michael Schumacher as champion. It's all swung back in Fernando Alonso's direction. Join us for that Brazilian Grand Prix in 2 weeks' time, but assume nothing.